The word ordeal. You know, many of the other videos I started with etymology of the word and then I said the word. But I don't know, sometimes I think I won't go so deep in etymology. Guys, keep in mind, we can choose to go deeper and deeper and deeper when we are talking about etymology, right? An example would be, for example, nowadays the word awesome is used by teenagers to describe something very cool, right? So they say, oh, this game is awesome, right? If we want, guys, we can go a little bit back in time and realize that the word awesome is actually used to describe a religious experience when you have an encounter with God, for example. But then of course I could go deeper and deeper and deeper, let's say digging, to try to find where the word came from, until we got probably in the Proto-Indo-European, right? I hope one day I'll record a video about Proto-Indo-European, but it's a very, very old language, older than Latin, Sanskrit, Greek. Actually, it's the mother language for those languages. Okay, why am I telling you all that? Because when I say etymology of the word, for example, ordeal, that is the word of today, keep in mind that we won't always have the obligation to dig as much as we can. Of course, an etymologist would do that because that's his interest, but sometimes I may have another kind of interest, okay? So, actually, all this digression is kind of useless because I think I will say etymology of the word ordeal, okay? So, first of all, keep in mind, guys, ordeal means a difficult period that extends for a long time, right? There is a CCA situation here. I think the sentence is something, it's about a tiger who has a broken canine and you have to have a root canal, right? And the narrator says something like, it's a procedure that may be familiar for most humans, but can be an ordeal for an animal. It's a very hard and painful situation that goes on and on and on. Okay, so you could say that, getting my university diploma was an ordeal, because you had to go there and study, and then you had to write your thesis, and then it didn't work out, and then you would have to go again and again. So this is an ordeal, right? Ordeal. Keep in mind, we do have similar words in Portuguese. Actually, we have two. It's a variation. We could say that ordeal is ordalha or ordalho. And then be careful, guys. Be careful, because when we translate words, we can't just think about the translation if the other language has the translation for that specific word. Why? Because sometimes the other language does, but the word in the other language is very strange. Nobody uses it. Okay? That's a nice example. Let's imagine I am an American, right? And I want to say this. I want to say that Mark went through a very hard period, and long, painful period, that was his divorce, right? And then I'm learning Portuguese and I say, Marco passou por ordalho com o seu divórcio, right? Brazilians would look at him and say, what? Right? Because we do have those words in Portuguese, but it's a very rare word, right? Actually, in Portuguese, it means the second meaning of ordeal and a little bit older meaning of ordeal. That is the etymological meaning we're studying today. Guys, ordeal was a kind of trial, but that was kind of common during the Middle Ages. So basically, what happened? Let's imagine I live in the Middle Ages, and I think my wife is committing adultery, right? She's cheating on me. Okay, so I go there to the tribunal and I accuse her, right? And they wouldn't have like a modern trial as we do. They would see if she's guilty or not by ordeal. And what would be that? One possibility would be ordeal by fire. Okay, so they would heat iron, you know. By the way, guys, the pronunciation is iron, not iron, right? So the band is Iron Maiden. Okay. Okay, so they would heat iron until the point it got bright red, because, you know, it would be very, very hot. They would put the iron or the pieces of iron on the floor, and this person accused of anything, accused of, I don't know, corruption, maybe, it would be nice, would have to walk, you know, on those red hot pieces of iron. A variation for that would be the person would have to hold. Okay, so just imagine, guys. So this is a bar of iron. I put it in the fire. It's already wrought, so the guy will. It's already red. So the guy gets it with a pair of pliers, gives it to you. All right. So imagine it's like bright red. You have to hold it. Okay, and depending on the trial, but usually you would have to walk like three steps, you know, holding that iron or walking on the hot iron, right? Another variation of the trial would be they would heat. Let me get another marker. They would heat water in a big pot. This is fire, and the water would be boiling here, and they would put a stone right here at the bottom. So what was your job? You would have to get your nice hand, put it in the boiling water, retrieve the stone, and, you know, your task would be done. All right. Well, sometimes there was a variation for that. Sometimes it was hot oil, right? Which you can imagine that would be a little bit worse, you know? It's like frying your hand. Okay. Okay, but then you are telling me, but why? So it would be the punishment. It's like I stole something, I would put my hand there, so that was my punishment instead of going to prison. No, guys, that was the judgment. These things happened to see if you were guilty or not. Okay, trial by fire, trial by water, trial by cold water could be ordeal by cold water, could be like, you know, putting you inside of a lake or something, leaving you there for some minutes, and if you could survive, so they would check, right? Okay. But how would they decide if you're guilty or innocent? In the case of putting you inside the water in a lake, it's like this. If you survived, it meant that God is with you, so you're innocent. Okay? That's cool, right? In those other cases that you would have pretty heavy and ugly wounds, they would wait 3 days. And they would check after 3 days, the priest would check if your wound festered. Fester, guys, is like if it became infected, if there was, for example, pus, right? Not even infected, but if there was pus, right? If there was, so it meant that God was not with you, so you are guilty. If your wound was pretty okay, it meant that God was with you, and then you were innocent, right? Because they would take an oath in the beginning of the trial, and then saying, God, if I am innocent, please protect me, and that would be it, right? Variations for Ordeal. One that I think it's really nice, some people don't call it ordeal, but it's a kind of trial as well. You would have an ordeal by conduct. So let's imagine I say that, I don't know. Okay, we have two farms and our lands, you know, they share a boundary, right? And you are accusing me of taking part of your land, and I'm saying, no, he took part of my land. So we went there and said, look, I am right, and the other guy would say, no, I am right, and how to decide? We would have a trial by combat, an ordeal, sometimes they call it. It's like we're going to fight, right? If I kill you, it means God is protecting me, so you are wrong and I am innocent. So after all, you were stealing my land, not the other way around, okay? And there is another one that I think it's very cool, even it sounds a little bit silly, but it's ordeal by cross. So again, the same dispute, right? There would be a cross here in the middle of us. We would raise our hand, okay? You would be on the other side of the cross, raising your hand as well. And we would have to be like this for a long time. Whoever, you know, couldn't stand and just let the hand down would be the guilty one. That's cool, right? Okay, just one more, and I promise I will stop with my examples. In the Bible, guys, there was something similar, you know? That is, I think my wife, mainly now specifically for cheating wives, right? So I think my wife is cheating on me, but I don't have witnesses. So I can't stone her to death or anything, right? So I don't have witnesses. What will I do? I will get my wife, take her to the priest, and then we would do the following. I'm going to read a passage to you. It is from Numbers 5:11, okay? Keep in mind, guys, I'm using the Good News translation of the Bible, the Good News. That is a simpler translation of the Bible. When I say simpler, it is more modern. If you want the more traditional version, you know, with hath, thou, art, shall, then you should read the King James Bible. Well, I'll read the King James Bible to you in the future, guys. Okay, so listen to this. This is what you should do if you're suspecting your wife is cheating on you. The Lord commanded Moses to give the Israelites the following instructions. It may happen that a man becomes suspicious that his wife is unfaithful to him and has defiled herself by having intercourse with another man. Defile is like when you make something very dirty. But the husband may not be certain, for his wife may have kept it secret. There was no witness, and she was not caught in the act. Or it may happen that a husband becomes suspicious of his wife, even though she has not been unfaithful. In either case, the man shall take his wife to the priest. He shall also take the required offering of 1 kilogram of barley flour. That is basically the sacrifice you are going to take there. But he shall not pour any olive oil on it or put any incense on it, because it is an offering from a suspicious husband, made to bring the truth to light. Well, technicalities here. Okay, so what will the priest do? The priest shall bring the woman forward and make her stand in front of the altar. He shall pour some holy water into a clay pot and take some of the earth that is on the ground of the tent of the Lord's presence and put it in the water to make it bitter. Okay, so get some ground, put it in the water. Then he shall loosen the woman's hair and put the offering of flour in her hand. In his hands the priest shall hold the bowl containing the bitter water that brings a curse. Then the priest shall make the woman agree to this oath is spoken by the priest. So this is the oath she would have to say. If you have not, the priest would say, if you have not committed adultery, you will not be harmed by the curse that this water brings. But if you have committed adultery, may the Lord make your name a curse among your people. May he cause your genitals, organs to shrink, or your stomach, and your stomach to swell up. Okay, so your genital organs will shrink, and your stomach will swell up. May this water enter your stomach and cause it to swell up, in your genital organs to shrink. Okay? Then the woman would repeat that. She would then drink the water. All right? The priest would actually write that on a tablet or something like that, and then wash that with the water there in the bowl. The woman would drink the water, and if her genitals started shrinking and her belly started swelling up, she was guilty, and then you could exile her or stone her to death. If she didn't get sick or anything, then it means that she didn't commit any adultery. Okay. Keep in mind, guys, that at first it may seem very silly. Oh, okay, excluding the supernatural, right? Because we may believe that the Lord will punish her if she's lying. But even if we exclude the supernatural, this is very interesting. Let's imagine you are cheating, okay? And so your husband, suspects that, but he doesn't have witnesses, and you believe in the Lord. So let's imagine what kind of state you will be in when you drink that water, right? And what will that cause to you? And even if you don't believe in the whole process, in the whole trial, in that case it's not a trial, but in the whole ceremony there, everybody will have an eye on you, okay? So you will think twice before you can cheat on your husband again. And think about the husband, right? You won't need to spend the rest of your life thinking, was I cheated on? No, I wasn't. I received the answer there, right? So everything was fine. There was a similar ordeal during the Middle Ages, giving people the Eucharist. If they ate the Eucharist and something bad happened to them, then they were guilty. I don't know if you agree, but this is better than these others, right? So you needed divine intervention to punish you. Here, you needed divine intervention to say that you were innocent, right?